So hi beautiful souls, this is Michelle with Soultopia, and I'm glad that you've joined me on this beautiful day. And today I want to talk a little bit about how to connect with your crystals. When I first started learning about crystals, I got quite overwhelmed, to be honest. I loved all the crystals, everything was so beautiful, and I'd go into a store and I wanted all the crystals. And of course, for me, and maybe many of you, one of the first things I did was I also bought a bunch of books on crystals. And what I did was I'd take a book and I decided, well, I'm going to start with the A's and I'm going to go all the way through the whole book and I'll get to the Z's maybe in a week or so, right? Well, not so much, because there are over 4,000 known crystals, and then there's combinations of those. So it's hard to get through them. For instance, even when you would get to the agates, it's kind of like the list of shrimp on, what was that, on Forrest Gump? There was Bubba Gump, and he listed all of his shrimp. And it was like, it's the same with the agates, because there's blue agates, there's green agates, there's fire agates, there's tree moss agates, there's moss agate. It just goes on and on and on. And so you can just get to the agates and get even a little bit overwhelmed. So I'm here today to help you know that I went through the same thing. And kind of how I worked my way through that is what I want to help you guys do. So, one of the first things you can do is you can go to your store, or if you even already have crystals, you can pick out a crystal that you're drawn to. So just go in the store, and I always liked this stone. It's called labradorite. And these are kind of the palm-sized labradorite. So just go and pick out a stone in the store. And if you can get two to hold, and one in each hand, that's a good idea. A lot of times people will tell you to hold the stones, like get one and hold it in your receiving hand, which typically your receiving hand is the hand opposite of the hand you write with. What I would do and recommend for you to do is to hold one in each hand. And so when you're in the store, hold them in your hands. And if you want to close your eyes, that's fine. If you don't need to close your eyes. But however you want to, I like to close my eyes. And just close your eyes, and you're going to begin to think of, how does this stone make me feel? Is there anything physically I feel from this stone? Can I feel it tingling in my hand? Do I feel any emotions coming up from this stone? Because stones and crystals, as we know, have energy and vibrations. So see how it connects with you and with your vibration. And that's one really good way to begin connecting with stones and to not get overwhelmed. You might want to just pick out one type of stone. And when you buy them, you don't have to buy both. You can just choose which one felt better, which one you want to buy. But you might want to pick out one type of stone. You might want to pick out 2, 3. I'd go maybe up to 5. Just don't, if you're trying to learn them, don't go crazy at first, because you could get a little bit overwhelmed if you're really trying to learn about them. And then take them home and do the same thing. All those feelings, all those things that you noticed when you held the stone, write them down in a journal. And only then would I go to the books, if I were you. And I didn't do it this way, and I wish I would have at the beginning. Then you can go to the books and begin looking up that stone. Then I would go and I'd look up labradorite, and I'd see what other people said labradorite should do for me, what it would do for me spiritually, what it might do for me mentally, emotionally, or even physically. Because here's the thing, the books can get, and these aren't even all the books I have, they're wonderful. I love books. And in a later video, I'll tell you some of my favorites. But you can get overwhelmed by all the differences in what they say. And it really can get, for at least someone like me, who wants to cross-reference and make them all say the same thing and make sure they're all, am I getting it right? Do I have this stone just right? Really, it's how does it work with you? It's almost as if you were taking a medicine and someone else told you that medicine's going to make you really sleepy, and when you took it, you realized, that didn't make me sleepy at all. It actually kind of kept me awake. People respond to things differently, and it's the same with crystals because it's energy. Another way you can learn about crystals is through the chakras. Now that's spelled C-H-A, gotta think about it, K-R-A-S. So C-H-A-K-R-A-S. Now a lot of people, including me, will say chakras. That's okay. It's technically really supposedly pronounced chakras. So you may hear me intermix that sometimes. Just know that I'm talking about the chakras. And those are, typically there's 7. You can also include what would be called the Earth Star. That would be one down about 12 to 14 inches below your feet. And then the Earth, the planet star, and then all the chakras in your body, there's 7. So you start, and the cool thing about learning stones by chakras is that they're by color. They resonate with color. And so you're also, when you're learning by chakras, you're learning by the stones by color and grouping them by color. So for the root chakra, or the base chakra, that's the color red. And just a little way to know how to do your chakras, if you've heard for the rainbow, the Roy G. Biv, for the colors, like R for red, O for orange, and so on, that's Roy G. Biv. Well, that's how that works for the chakras. So you would start with the root, and that would be one color. It would be red, and it goes all the way up, Roy G. Biv, up to violet for your crown chakra, which would be amethyst. And actually, that's the next video that we're going to tape for you guys. So we'll get more into that later. But that's a great way to learn not only chakras and to learn the colors. And start by colors, because there's several different stones for each chakra. And even that can get overwhelming if you let it. You don't need to. So the third way I'd suggest beginning to learn about stones is by subject. The subject, and what do I mean by that? Well, I mean by that, like certain stones are known for doing certain things. They have certain properties to help you with certain things. So let's talk about Valentine's just passed. And I did a class on the love stones. So the love stones would be stones like rose quartz and green aventurine and all different kinds of pink and green stones, typically, because that would have to do with your heart chakra. So that's another way, or you could do them by abundance stones, or what would be good for helping me with my career, or what is good for grounding me and also for protecting me. So you could group them like that and then go and look at those stones. The interesting thing about that is oftentimes that will, sometimes will also relate back to color. So that's 3 ways that you can learn to make learning about crystals easier than I made it at the beginning, because trust me, I was all over the place. And I bought every single book that was out there, and again, those are good, but we'll talk about those later. And so you can go in your store and hold your stones and just connect with the stones yourself. That's one way. Another way is learning about the stones through the chakras, which add in color. And the third way would be learning about them through groups, subject matter, like the love stones or the abundance stones or the grounding stones. So I hope you enjoyed this short video, and I hope you have a beautiful day, because you're all beautiful souls. Thank you.